Welcome to the deep dive. Today, well, we've got something pretty specific, fascinating, really. We're going to take a really close look, a detailed look at these 100 basic English sentences. Sentences that, they lay out a whole day, action by action.
Exactly. And for you, the learner, this list it's more than just sentences. It's kind of a blueprint, isn't it? A
Mm.
blueprint for daily life in English. Our plan today is to go through these actions slowly, really deliberately, clearly. We want to uncover not just what people do in a typical day,
Mm.
but also what these simple phrases tell us,
Yeah,
about the language or how we structure things, maybe even a bit about psychology.
absolutely. Think of this deep dive as your shortcut,
Yeah.
a way to really get the vocabulary of daily routines down pat. And to understand that rhythm of life that you hear in everyday English, simple, specific words, we're following the whole cycle from waking up. The script says 7 o'clock sharp,
Yes.
all the way through work, relaxing, and finally going to sleep. And we'll be using simple, everyday English ourselves, focusing on these actions so you can listen, maybe even practice shadowing along with us.
That's the idea. We'll look at why certain verbs are used or adverbs. What's the purpose of each little action? How does it help keep the day structured, keep you focused? So let's jump right in. Where should we start?
Let's start at the beginning, the foundation of the day, the morning routine. Okay, the morning routine. You could say this is the most critical part, right? It's where you switch from resting, being passive, to being active and engaged with the world. And the sentences break it down nicely. Physical movement, getting yourself ready, connecting outwards, and then getting some fuel.
It's quite something. 30 steps laid out here. A sequence designed to get your body and your mind from, well, zero to ready. Hashtag waking up and physical start, 1 to 5.
Right. So the first five actions, they immediately set up this feeling of structure, of intention. Listen to the first two. I wake up at 7 o'clock, and then I open my eyes slowly.
Okay, that's 7 o'clock. That establishes the time routine, consistency. We know that's important for our body clocks, our circadian rhythms. But let's focus on that second one.
Hmm.
I open my eyes slowly. That word slowly. Why is it important?
Well, slowly.
Yeah.
It suggests you're not, jolting awake in a panic.
Precisely. And for you, the learner, this is a great example. It's an adverb of manner. Slowly. It shows how you do the action.
Right.
And using it here right at the start, it's like the speaker saying, I'm in control. A gentle start. Deliberate. It's quite different from maybe later actions like, I leave the house quickly. So this one little word, slowly, it sets a calm tone psychologically.
That makes sense. Okay, so eyes open, slowly. Then the body moves. I get out of bed. That's the first big physical shift, isn't it? Horizontal to vertical.
Action begins. And then I stress my body.
Oh, the stretch. Feels good just thinking about it.
It's a physical preparation, getting the blood flowing, oxygen moving, getting ready for more complex stuff later. But what comes next? Sentence number 5. This one is really interesting from an organizational perspective. I make my bed.
I make my bed. It sounds so simple, almost trivial.
It does, but it's deceptively powerful. Psychologists sometimes call this a keystone habit. Think about it. It's a small win right away. First thing, by making your bed, you've already achieved something, brought order to your space. And that tells your brain, okay, I can handle structure. I can tackle bigger things today.
Huh. A keystone habit. I like that.
And linguistically, for you listening, notice the verb. We make the bed. We don't usually say do the bed in English. It's a set phrase, a collocation. Make the bed means tidy the sheets and covers.
Right, make the bed. Got it. It's easy to overlook those small physical wins, how they set up your mindset. If my bedroom's a mess, my morning often feels chaotic.
That's exactly it. So these first 5 sentences, they're really a mini masterclass, establishing energy, control, and order, all before you've even left the bedroom. Hashtag hygiene and preparation, 613.
Okay, so the bed's made, order established. Now the focus shifts, right? It moves to getting the self ready, preparing for seeing other people. The routine moves location. I go to the bathroom.
Yes.
Yeah.
And here's the second sequence, all about personal readiness. It starts with cleaning actions. I wash my face, I brush my teeth. Pretty basic, essential for health, for hygiene. And for you, the learner, again, notice the verbs. Simple, direct action words. Wash, brush, very common.
Clean face, clean teeth. And then logically, you check your work. I look in the mirror, followed by I comb my hair.
This self-check is interesting, isn't it? It shows a shift. We went from internal readiness, making the bed, to now thinking about external presentation, looking in the mirror, fixing your hair. These are, in a way, social routines. You're getting ready to interact with others. It's a necessary step before the social part of the day starts.
Makes sense. You wouldn't want to greet your colleagues with toothpaste on your chin.
Probably not. Then we get into the more thorough cleaning and prep phase. I take a shower. Then I dry my hair.
A sequence there, shower, then dry.
And finally, the last step in this personal prep cluster, the clothing. I get dressed. If you look at these, 8 sentences? 6 to 13. It's a completely logical flow. Face, teeth, mirror, hair, shower, dry, clothes. You have to do these things to be ready to face the world, basically.
I want to pause on I get dressed. That's a really useful phrase for learners. We use get plus an adjective or a past participle a lot in English, don't we? Like get ready, get tired, and here, get dressed. It shows a change of state.
That's a great point. It's much more common, more idiomatic than say, I dress myself. Using these phrasal verbs like get dressed is really key for sounding natural in everyday English.
Good tip. So by the end of sentence 13, you're clean, you're clothed, ready for the next stage.
Exactly. Fully prepared, physically at least. Hashtag tag tag connecting with the world 1418.
Okay, dressed and ready. Now the routine seems to shift again from just internal preparation to engaging with the outside world, both the physical world and the digital one.
Yes, and interestingly, the physical environment comes first. A deliberate nod to wellness. I open the window. Then I breathe fresh air. This isn't just passive, it's an active choice. Let the outside in, refresh your space, refresh yourself.
It feels like a moment of mindfulness almost, focusing on your breath, your surroundings. But in today's world, that physical moment is often immediately followed by the digital connection. I check my phone, I read messages.
And that juxtaposition right there, it perfectly captures modern routines.
Yeah.
You go from the physical, the deep breath of fresh air, straight to the digital screen. Check in the phone, reading messages. It connects you instantly. Social circle, work.
Yeah.
You're checking for anything urgent. It's become a necessary step for many people to feel prepared, to feel like they know what's waiting for them.
Yeah, that fear of missing out or missing something important. And this little cluster of actions, body, environment, phone, it ends on a purely emotional note. I smile at the new day.
I love that one. It's like an instruction. Be positive. Deliberately. Just like making the bed sets up organization, this smile, it sets up your emotional readiness, acceptance. It's conscious choice, a psychological commitment to start positively. Right. So this routine, it's not just a to-do list. It's really a guide for well-being. It mixes physical things like fresh air, mental checks like messages, and emotional choices like smiling.
That's a great way to put it. Managing your attitude is just as much a part of the routine of managing tasks. Hashtag tag tag breakfast and departure 1930.
All right. Body prepared, check. Mind connected, check. Attitude positive, check. Now you need fuel, energy for the next phase, moving, working. So the sequence logically takes us to the place of nourishment. I go to the kitchen, I make breakfast.
And here, the routine gets specific about the food, which is great vocabulary for you listening. I eat toast, I eat eggs, I drink tea, I drink coffee. Very common. Typical breakfast items, easy to visualize, easy to learn how to say.
Yes, concrete examples. But the next 2 sentences, they elevate breakfast beyond just, calories. They bring in mindfulness again. I sit at the table. I enjoy my morning.
Sitting at the table. That's often the first thing to go when we're rushing, isn't it? Just grabbing something and eating, standing up, or on the way out the door.
It absolutely is. And this routine explicitly says, no, don't do that. It emphasizes sitting, enjoying, not rushing, not multitasking. This makes breakfast a moment. An intentional pause, present, enjoyable. If you skip the I sit at the table part, your morning often feels more rushed, more stressed, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so you sit, you enjoy, fueled up, mentally calm, and then notice this, the routine loops back to tidiness, echoing the bed making earlier. I wash the dishes.
Yes. Another embedded reset. Tidying up after yourself. You're closing the breakfast chapter, keeping the kitchen clean before you head out. It stops the mess from one part of the day spilling into the next. Good principle.
Keeps things contained. Okay, so the kitchen's clean. Now, the final steps before leaving. Purely practical actions now. Getting ready to go out, I get my bag, I put on my shoes.
And linguistically, let's highlight those verbs again, especially the phrasal verbs. Put on, meaning to wear something, to don clothing or shoes. Its opposite, which we'll see later, is take off. To remove clothing. These put on, take off are absolutely essential for everyday English fluency. You use them constantly.
Good reminder, put on my shoes. Okay, bag packed, shoes on. And the very last action of this whole 30-step morning sequence, the definitive end, I leave the house. Phase 1 complete. We've gone from sleep to ready to go.
A really comprehensive start to the day. Okay, so the 30 morning steps are done. You've successfully launched yourself. Now we enter the next phase. This is about transition. Moving physically and mentally from home, the private space, to work or school, the public and professional space.
Right. This section is all about navigating the outside world, dealing with transportation, getting from A to B, hashtag, the travel sequence, the new 136. It starts simply enough, with movement nearby. I walk to the bus stop.
Then comes something that requires patience, interacting with an external system. I wait for the bus. You're depending on something outside your control here. Then the action of getting onto the transport. I get on the bus. And for you learners, notice those little prepositions. They show location and direction to the stop, for the bus, on the bus. Simple but crucial.
Yeah, prepositions can be tricky. Good examples there. So these 3 little steps, walk, wait, get on. That's the mechanics of using the bus. And the outcome of this journey is stated simply, I arrive at work school.
Goal achieved. But what I find particularly interesting here is what the routine suggests you do during that travel time. The time on the bus, hashtag, filling the transit time, 34:35.
Right, the sentences give 2 main options for how to use that transit time. Both seem quite passive. I listen to music, or I look out the window.
And this is, I think, quite a smart use of what could be dead time or even stressful time. It turns the commute into a kind of mental buffer zone. Listening to music, for example, it creates your own private bubble, right? Even in a crowded space, it's like a psychological shield.
Yeah, I definitely do that. Zone out with headphones. And the other option, I look out the window. That seems like just observing, letting your mind wander.
Exactly. It's passive engagement. You're looking, maybe noticing things, but not actively working. The key thing is that the routine suggests using this time for non-work activities, music, observation. It doesn't say, I answer emails on my phone or I start planning my work.
That's a really important distinction.
It is. It's about creating a buffer. If you start intense work thinking the second you leave home, you might arrive already feeling a bit drained. These passive activities, music, looking out the window, they act as a mental insulator. They help you avoid getting overloaded too early. It's like an intentional choice to decouple before the real work begins.
Decouple. That's a good word for it. Saving your mental energy for when you actually get there.
Precisely. Conservation of energy. Hashtag arrival and setup, 37 to 45. Okay, so the commute's over. You've arrived. I arrive at work school. The moment you arrive, a new set of routines kicks in. These are designed to switch your brain fully into work or study mode.
And interestingly, it starts with a social step. Before settling in yourself, you acknowledge others. I say hello to my friends or maybe colleagues. That's the first social interaction in the new environment, moving from being a passive observer on the bus to an active participant.
A necessary social grease. Then comes the physical setup. Establishing your workspace. I go to my desk, I sit on my chair. 3 very simple actions. They define your physical spot for productivity. They tell your body, okay, time to settle and focus.
Find your spot, sit down. And then, the essential modern step. I turn on my computer. Now you're physically settled and technically ready.
And now we get to 2 really critical actions. Actions that define how the rest of your work session might go. These are about cognitive preparation, how you start thinking about your work. I check emails, and immediately after, I plan my tasks.
Okay, let's unpack this. Check emails, then plan tasks.
Yeah.
Why that order? Why both?
This is fascinating. It's like the routine is showing us the battle between being reactive and being proactive. Think about, I check emails. What does that involve?
Usually seeing what other people want from you. Problems, requests, information.
Exactly. It's fundamentally reactive. You're responding to external demands, other people's priorities, urgencies. It's necessary. You have to know what's going on. But if it's the only thing you do first, it can be dangerous.
Okay, so how does I plan my tasks change that?
Planning. That's the proactive part. That's you deciding what's important. What are your goals for the day? What aligns with your bigger projects or objectives? The routine puts planning after checking emails. That's clever, it suggests. Okay, check for urgent fires first, emails. But then use that information to inform your plan. Don't just let the emails dictate your entire day. Make your own agenda.
So you check, then you plan based on both the external input and your own goals.
Precisely. If you only check emails, you risk being pulled in a million directions. Reactive. If you only plan without checking, you might miss something critical that just came in. The routine says, do both, but prioritize your own plan before you actually dive into the work itself.
That makes a lot of sense. Plan first, which leads logically to the next step.
I start working, yes. The planning is done, now the action begins. And this whole arrival and setup section finishes with a commitment. Not just a physical action, but an internal one. 2 sentences about mindset. I stay focused. I try my best.
These are like little commands to yourself, aren't they? It's acknowledging that just showing up and sitting down isn't enough. You need to actively choose to concentrate, to put in effort.
Absolutely. It frames focus and effort as actions themselves as part of the routine. So this whole section, sentences 31 to 45, it's really a journey from passively traveling to actively engaging, setting up, planning, and finally committing to focused work.
A very structured transition.
All right, we've arrived, we've planned, we committed to focus. Now we're deep in it. This next block of sentences, 46 to 65,
Yeah.
this is the core productivity time. It's all about learning, producing, interacting, doing the actual work or study. And crucially, we'll see how breaks are built in to keep that focus going.
Yeah, this looks like the heart of the intellectual effort for the day. Hashtag tag tag core tasks and learning, 4652. Let's look at the specific types of actions described here. They seem very cognitive. I read information, I write notes, I type on my computer.
You're right. Linguistically, we've shifted. Remember the morning? Lots of physical verbs. Stretch, walk, wash. Now it's mainly cognitive process verbs. Read, write, type. These are the fundamental ways we handle information in most modern work or study, aren't they? Input, processing, output.
Read, write, type seems about right. And the purpose of all this reading, writing, typing, the routine states it explicitly. I learned something new.
I really like that this is included. It frames the work period not just as getting things done, but as a process of continuous growth, discovery. It sets an expectation. Every focused work session should ideally involve some kind of learning, some cognitive expansion.
A high bar, but a good one. But learning isn't always solitary, is it? The routine acknowledges that. It includes actions for collaboration and finding information from others. I talk to coworkers, classmates. I ask questions.
Very important inclusions. It shows the routine isn't rigid or isolated. It's dynamic, socially engaged. Real work and learning often involve discussion, getting feedback, clarifying things, and I ask questions. That's the active pursuit of knowledge, the opposite of just passively receiving information. It implies critical engagement.
So you read, maybe you talk to someone, you ask questions. What ties it all together? The routine has a final step for this cognitive cycle, I think carefully.
Yes, that's the crucial internal processing step. Think about that sequence. You take information in, read, you interact about it, talk, ask, and then you think carefully. That's where true understanding happens. It's like digesting the information. If you skip the think carefully part, you might just be shuffling data around, not really learning or solving problems effectively.
So it's input, interaction, and then reflection or deep processing. Think carefully. A key part of the intellectual work. Hashtag tag to the routine of recharge, 5357.
Now, given all this thinking, reading, typing, learning, you need to manage your energy. You can't just stay focused indefinitely without burning out. So the routine cleverly builds in short, essential breaks, like little reset buttons.
Right, you need to recharge. It starts incredibly simply. I drink water.
Basic, fundamental hydration, often overlooked, but listed here as the first step in recovery. Then, the deliberate pause itself. I take a short break.
Okay, a short break. What do you do? The routine suggests going back to physical actions, actions we saw earlier, but used differently now. I stretch my arms. I take a deep breath.
Yes, that physical reset. Stretching combats the stiffness of sitting. And I take a deep breath. There it is again. That's the second time it's appeared in the routine today.
We saw it after opening the window in the morning. Now here, during a work break.
Its repetition really highlights its importance. It's presented as a fundamental go-to tool, a recurring technique for calming the nervous system, refocusing. It's like an essential maintenance loop built into the day.
A maintenance loop. I like that. It's simple, free. You can do it anywhere.
Exactly. And notice the break described is physical and brief. Stretch, breathe. It's designed to quickly restore you, cut through the mental fatigue or muscle tension. without letting you get too sidetracked. Because right after the stretch and breath, the routine says, I continue working.
So it's a very purposeful break, quick physical reset, then straight back to it. Maximize refreshment, minimize distraction.
That seems to be the idea. Efficient energy management. Hashtag the mindset trilogy 5860.
Okay, back to work after a quick refresh. But we know work isn't always smooth sailing. There are challenges, frustrations, and the routine addresses the mindset needed for that too. We saw stay focused and try my best earlier. Now there's more on attitude.
Yes, because sustaining effort through difficulty requires more than just breaks. It requires resilience. And this routine identifies three core internal states or commitments needed to persevere when things get tough.
The first two are about your internal state. I stay positive, I stay patient.
Notice the verb again, stay. Like stay focused. It implies continuous effort. Staying positive, staying patient. These aren't passive feelings. They're active choices, mental actions you need to keep performing, especially when you hit a snag. Because if negativity or impatience creeps in, what happens?
Your thinking gets clouded, you make mistakes, you might want to give up.
Exactly. Cognitive function often declines. So the routine insists managing your attitude is part of the work, just as important as the typing or the reading.
Stay positive, stay patient. And the third part of this mindset trilogy seems to be the outcome. I solve problems.
Yes, and this connection is key, especially for you listening. The routine frames problem solving not just as a task you do, but as something that results from the right mindset. The implication is, if you actively work on staying positive and staying patient, you create the best mental conditions for effectively solving the problems that come your way.
So, mindset enables the solution. Positive plus patient, problem solved. Maybe not always, but it helps.
It definitely improves the odds. This mindset trilogy is a powerful, non-physical routine embedded right within the workflow. Hashtag closing the work cycle 6165.
All right, we've worked hard, stayed positive, solved problems. Now it's time to wrap up the core work period. Just like starting work had rituals, finishing work needs them too, for proper closure.
Absolutely. Without clear end-of-work signals, it's hard to mentally switch off. So the routine begins with acknowledging completion. I finished my work. A simple, satisfying statement. Task done.
Feels good to say that. Then come the practical, necessary steps for saving your progress. I save my files, I turn off my computer.
Vital closure actions. The digital equivalent of putting your tools away neatly. You can't really leave work mentally if things are unsaved or the machine's still humming with unfinished business. These are boundary rituals, marking the end.
Boundaries, yeah. And then look at this echoing the morning routine again. Just like we made the bed first thing, now, before leaving, I clean my desk.
Another organizational bookend. It ensures your workspace is tidy, ready for tomorrow. It prevents that feeling of coming into chaos in the morning. It reduces transition fatigue. By cleaning your desk now, you're actually doing a favor for your future self, planning ahead.
Making the next morning smoother. Smart. Okay, file saved, computer off, desk clean. The final sentence for this whole work block signals the definitive end. I leave work school. The main productive structure of the day is complete. Time to transition again.
Yes, the routine dictates a clean break, physical and mental departure. Okay, work or school is done for the main part. We're now moving into the afternoon. This section seems to cover the midday refuel. Maybe lunch happened earlier for some, or it's happening now. It also covers that transition back towards the home environment with a focus on unwinding a bit.
Right. Lunch is often positioned around midday, so it makes sense here. It seems presented as more than just food. It's a recovery and social time, too. Breaking up the day. Hashtag lunchtime, 6670. The sequence starts like breakfast. Move to the food place. I go to the kitchen or cafeteria. Then, preparing the meal. I make lunch, even if making just means opening a container you brought.
Yes, the action of getting the food ready. But then, look at the next sentence. It highlights the social aspect, which is often different from a focused work block. I eat with friends or family. Lunch is often framed here as a communal activity, a time for connection, reducing that feeling of being isolated in your work.
That's true. Lunch is often more social than breakfast for many people. And again, just like breakfast, the routine emphasizes enjoyment. I enjoy my food. Plus the hydration reminder, always important. I drink water or juice.
So this short lunch sequence paints a picture of a holistic break. You get physical fuel, food, drink, social connection with friends, family, and mental pleasure.
Yeah.
enjoyment. It's designed as a complete reset before you tackle the rest of the afternoon. Hashtag relaxation and renewal, 7174.
After eating, there's often a need for a short pause before jumping back into things. The routine includes this. I rest for a few minutes.
And notice how this rest is described. It's not necessarily solitary or silent. I talk to people. This continues the social thread from the meal. It keeps the mind engaged, but lightly.
Hmm.
Non-work chat. It helps maintain that decoupling from intense tasks.
Keeps the break feeling like a break.
Yeah.
And here it is again, that explicit emotional instruction. I smile and relax.
Yes. Third time, we've seen a direct command related to positive emotion or state. Smile at the new day, stay positive, and now smile and relax. It's a deliberate mental reset, consciously choosing to feel at ease during the break. The idea is that by actively relaxing, smiling, you make the short rest more effective. So you can then continue my day feeling genuinely refreshed, not just less tired.
It's about the quality of the rest, not just the duration. Smile and relax. Got it. Hashtag tag the return journey, 7580. Okay, the main work study part might be over. Lunch and a short rest, done. Now the transition towards home. And the routine brings back an awareness of the physical environment, the outside world.
Yes, there's a suggestion here for sensory grounding. Getting out of your head, perhaps away from screens. I take a walk outside. I feel the sunlight. Now, for you listening, this might be an ideal. Maybe you can't always take a walk, but the idea is important. Getting some fresh air, natural light. It's biologically good for us. A break from the indoor environment where we might spend most of the day.
A little dose of nature or just the outdoors. And look what's next, our recurring friend. I breathe deeply. This is number 3.
Third appearance. Morning prep, midday work break, and now afternoon transition. Its repetition really hammers home its role. It's the universal, simplest internal reset button in this whole 100-step cycle. It reinforces that mindful breathing isn't a one-off trick, but a continuous practice. Good for clarity, good for stress reduction, available anytime.
Breathe deeply. Okay, so you've had some air, maybe some sun, taken a deep breath. Now the final steps of this phase. I return home. The journey back is complete.
And then 2 beautifully simple actions. Actions that signal a really significant psychological shift. I take off my shoes. I sit on the sofa.
Taking off the shoes. That feels symbolic, doesn't it? In many cultures, it's literally leaving the dirt and the demands of the outside world at the door. It's a physical act that draws a line. Public life ends here. Private sanctuary begins.
It's a powerful boundary ritual. And then I sit on the sofa. That immediately signals relaxation mode. The end of the day's required structure and active tasks. It's just a moment of letting go. Simple, physical release. A well-earned pause after the day's efforts.
The end of the public day, you could say. All right, we're home. Shoes off, maybe collapsed on the sofa for a minute. Now we enter the final stretch of the day, the last 20 sentences. The evening routine. This is all about winding down, transitioning from that daytime activity towards sleep. Looks like a mix of leisure, some final domestic tasks, and getting ready for bed.
Exactly. This phase is really crucial for decompressing, letting go of the day's stresses. The actions here are designed to clear your head, relax your body, and set you up for good, restorative sleep. Hashtag leisure and connection, 8188.
It starts with a clear statement of intent. I relax after a long day. Sets the theme for this part.
And then the routine offers a kind of menu of leisure options. It's interesting to look at them. We can maybe categorize them by how much mental effort they require. Passive versus active relaxation.
Okay, passive options. Things that let your brain coast a bit. The list includes I watch TV, I watch a movie, I listen to music. Yeah, those are mainly receptive. You're taking things in, not much output required. Good for when you're feeling drained.
Right. Low cognitive load. Then there are the more active options. These still involve relaxing, but they keep your mind a bit more engaged, need a bit more focus. I read a book. I play a game. The choice between passive and active might depend on your day. Right? If your brain is fried from thinking, maybe TV is best. If you're physically tired but mentally restless, maybe reading or a game is better.
Makes sense. Tailor your relaxation. But relaxation isn't just solitary. The routine brings back social connection here in the evening, too. I talk with my family. I call a friend.
And this is vital. It closes the social loop for the day. Connecting with loved ones, sharing experiences. It fulfills that basic human need. Important for mental health. Stops you feeling isolated before you head off to sleep alone. So the routine balances me time, TV, reading, with We time, talking.
A healthy mix. Hashtag tag tag dinner and cleanup 8991. Before the final wind down can properly begin, there's usually one more round of domestic necessity. Food, we get the evening meal sequence. I cook dinner.
And notice this emphasis again, just like at breakfast. I eat dinner at the table. It consistently promotes this idea of structured, mindful eating. Discouraging, perhaps, eating distractedly in front of the TV or while scrolling on your phone.
Right, the table as the designated eating spot. And then, inevitably, what comes after eating. The clean routine appears one last time. I clean the dishes.
Yes, closing the loop on the day's food cycle. Tidying up again. This repetition, morning dishes, evening dishes, it really establishes the standard. Keep things orderly, minimize future hassle. You're basically prepping the kitchen for the next morning already.
Always thinking ahead. This routine. Hashtag tag preparation for sleep. 9295. Okay, dinner done, kitchen clean. Now the focus shifts entirely to getting ready for bed, preparing the body and the environment for sleep.
We see a repeat of some hygiene routines, now framed for comfort and end-of-day cleansing. I take an evening shower, maybe helps relax muscles, and importantly, I brush my teeth again. Doing it twice a day is standard health advice, so its repetition here underlines its importance.
Can't skip brushing your teeth. Then comes a step that signals sleep time to your body. I change into pajamas.
Yes, the clothing change. It's more than just comfort, it's a cue, a signal to your brain and body. The active day is definitively over. Time to switch to rest mode. It separates day from night.
Like putting on a uniform for sleep. And then, here's a really proactive step, maybe the most forward-looking action in the evening. I prepare my things for tomorrow.
Ah, this is gold. This is the ultimate future-proofing action. Actively getting things ready for the next morning, laying out clothes, packing your bag, maybe glancing at your schedule. What does this do? It hugely reduces the mental effort needed when you wake up. It makes that morning transition, which we saw was so detailed, much smoother, less stressful. It's a real gift to your future self.
Investing tonight for an easier tomorrow. Very smart. Hashtag tag the final mental steps. 96100. Okay, body ready, things prepped for tomorrow. The last few actions are purely about mental preparation for sleep, getting the mind quiet and ready.
The first one mentioned is about processing the day. I write in my journal. For people who do this, it's a way to download thoughts. Get worries, ideas, or reflections out of your head and onto paper. Clears the mental runway for sleep so thoughts aren't just circling around when you lie down.
A mental offload. Then, the physical act of getting into position. I relax in bed, followed by shutting off the main sensory input. I close my eyes.
Body still, eyes closed. And now, the very last conscious mental act suggested by the routines. Another one of those direct emotional instructions. I think happy thoughts.
Happy thoughts. Like Peter Pan.
Maybe. But the principle is sound. It's about deliberately directing your mind towards positivity right before you drift off. It acts as a buffer against last-minute worries or replaying negative events from the day. It's applying a bit of positive psychology to encourage peaceful sleep, a final conscious act of mental hygiene.
Choose your final thoughts wisely. Okay. And that leads us to the very last sentence of the entire 100, the end of the cycle. I go to sleep, mission accomplished for the day, from 7 a.m. wake up to finally drifting off.
A complete journey, action by action. Hashtag outro.
And that completes our deep dive. We've journeyed through these 100 specific actions, sentence by sentence, actions that together paint a picture of a structured, well-managed day, all using simple, clear, everyday English.
We really saw the different types of actions, didn't we? There were the crucial physical ones, like I stretch my body, or that keystone habit, I make my bed. Then we saw the shift to cognitive verbs during work. Read, write, think carefully.
And we noticed those recurring maintenance loops, especially I breathe deeply, popping up in the morning, during work breaks, in the afternoon, like a constant tool for resetting. We also highlighted some key vocabulary for you, the listener, especially those useful phrasal verbs like get on the bus or put on shoes, take off shoes.
Exactly. So for you as a learner, really getting familiar with these 100 phrases, it gives you a solid foundation. It's the vocabulary you need to talk about and understand the whole structure of a typical day, covering what you need to do physically, how you approach work, and even how you manage your emotions. It truly is the language of daily life.
So we've looked at this whole cycle. We saw external actions like walking or cleaning. We saw social actions like saying hello or talking with family. And we saw those internal psychological commitments like staying positive or thinking happy thoughts.
Which brings us to a final thought. A question, really, for you to ponder. Thinking about all these 100 small actions we've discussed, the physical ones, the organizational ones, the social ones, the mental ones, which type of action, or maybe even which specific action, like stretching or making the bed or thinking happy thoughts, which one do you think makes the biggest difference? Which one has the single largest, most crucial impact on the overall quality of your entire day?
That's a great question. Something to reflect on using the very language we've explored today. Think about your own routine tonight or tomorrow morning. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the, well, surprisingly intricate world of the simple daily routine. We hope this journey helps you structure your own day and your English practice perfectly.